Okay, so this is my presentation of learning. So my first artifact I would like to touch on was one of the first infographics that we did sort of at the beginning of the year. And it was based on the trash crisis in Hawaii. So this infographic was done with a partner, which my partner was Kindle. And we completed the infographic on time and everything went well. And I feel like it turned out really good. So some of the skills that I'd like to touch on for this project is going to be learning from others' feedback, so not just my partners, but also the whole class, as well as Ms. Calro. And then another skill I'd like to touch on was better collaboration. So we were assigned this infographic based on trash crisis in Hawaii, like I said, and I think some of the things that Kendall and I did really well was one person would think of an idea, and then we would kind of touch on that idea, and then we would combine two ideas to make one really good idea. So I think our infographic turned out really well, like I said. I think the colors made everything pop, and I think it turned out really well. So these skills were basically obtained through the process of the infographic. So it wasn't like I automatically got the skills. As we went through the infographic, I was able to learn more. So kind of the best part about this infographic for me was not only did we apply and use so many different skills, but our infographic was selected to be posted on the website. So it was kind of a nice reward, you could say, for a nice successful infographic. So
Jordan, can you just touch the screen too?
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
So my next artifact I'd like to touch on was another infographic that we did sort of at the beginning of the year. And but this particular infographic was based off of conventional farming and why it's not the best method. So this was done in STEM. And so this infographic was also done with a partner, which was Shane. And we encountered some different challenges along the way that really I think I can apply to my future. So some of the main skills that I obtained were working in tough situations, as well as perseverance. So the main challenge that we faced was the first day of research went really well. We were introduced to the project and the subject of our infographic, and then we started our research, which we had a huge paper of facts and stuff. So we were pretty happy with how everything started. So that was on a Friday, and then as the weekend went on, I was sick on Monday, so that was one of our main work days for infographic. So Shane kind of showed up to class like, now what am I gonna do? So I was homesick, so Shane had the ingenious idea to FaceTime me while I was sick, but he was still able to work with me so we could get stuff done on the infographic. So I think that was a really ingenious idea by Shane, and I think if he had not done that, we wouldn't have probably finished. So this is where kind of the skills come in for me. Even though I wasn't feeling well, and Shane probably wasn't feeling too good either because his partner wasn't there on the main work day, but we still worked through and we were able to get a lot of work done even though we were not in the best situation. And then we also had to persevere through these challenges that I just talked about, and to make sure that we finished on time no matter what. So the infographic, we did end up finishing on time thanks to Shane's idea and us working through the situation, so everything worked out. Oh yeah. Okay, so the next artifact I'd like to touch on is the Heroes Project. So this was done in humanities, and basically what it was, we picked a hero basically in our lives that made a big impact on us, and we were basically supposed to write kind of a story about some part of their life or how it impacted us. So some of the skills that I felt like I obtained was relating my life experiences to my schoolwork. So I picked my dad, so a lot of stuff that he guided me through in my actual life, I was able to put into my story, which was related to school. And then another skill I was able to obtain was asking good questions. So to be able to put stuff about my dad onto the story, we needed to interview him with a certain amount of questions. And these questions, they needed to be good questions so that I could obtain the most information out of each question instead of asking a ton of questions. So I related all the things that my dad taught me throughout my life to this story that we were going to display for others. And then another extra skill I'd like to add is some creative photography type things when we displayed it on the big presentation that we had for up in Platte. So there's an example of one of the pictures that I did, and yeah. So the next artifact I would like to talk about is the Marty's Garden field trip. And this was one of my favorite field trips by far because we kind of got to do a lot of hands-on gardening and stuff like that. We weren't just sitting there listening to like a guide talk. We actually got to do a lot of stuff, which was really cool. So some skills that I obtained was learning not just by listening, like I said, to a guide, but instead doing it through actions and experiences. So for example, instead of the guide just telling us, oh, to plant this seedling, you need to do this and this and this, they actually let us take it and plant it ourselves and tell us what we did wrong or didn't do. Right? And then another skill that I obtained was being an investigator. So because we went to Marty's Garden to find more information that we could use towards our hydroponic system, we needed to be good investigators so that we could figure out the most information that we can apply to our project. So this was a really awesome field trip for me because I hadn't really gardened that much in the past, so a lot of the experience that I have now came from this field trip, which I'll be able to use in my further hydroponics project. So I think that's definitely one of the better ways that I learn is from hands-on experiences compared to just listening. And I think that's one of the great things about MPX is there's a lot of that, from building and then to infographics and stuff like this and just gardening and field trips. So that's one of the main things that I really enjoy about MPX and think was really awesome about this field trip. Okay. So my last artifact I'd like to touch on is the construction and the hydroponic system. So I think this is one of the most enriching things I've done probably throughout my whole school career because I hadn't really been introduced to that much building and power tools and stuff like that. And just because my dad did most of that, and I don't know why, but I wasn't really involved in that much. But this project kind of forced me to be into that type of stuff because we needed to get this done and we needed all the people we could working on it. So I think this was a really awesome way for me to kind of get involved with stuff like that because I hadn't really experienced it in the past. So some of the skills that I obtained were leadership. I was assigned to be our group leader of Shane, Travis, and Patrick. So I hadn't really been put in that situation before, or at least as much as I have throughout this semester, being the leader in my group. And I think that's really going to be important for my future, whether I get a job and I'll be in charge of a department or something like that. And I think that was a really good skill that I was able to obtain just to be using towards the future. And then another skill that I think I obtained was definitely construction skills and stuff like that. And I think, like I said, since I hadn't been introduced to that before, this was a really great way for me to kind of get involved with that. So we worked hard on our systems, and one of my favorite things about this project is it's still going on, and I'm still learning a lot from it. And I think we've definitely improved since the beginning, when we were didn't know what we were doing, didn't know how to measure and stuff. But I think a challenge that we're having right now is just being more efficient in what we do. So I think that's definitely an easy fix if we all put our minds to it. So this semester has been really enriching for me. I'm sure it has for everyone really, but in particular, this is definitely one of my favorite semesters that I've had, and I've definitely learned a lot. Thank you.
real important for us to ask questions now and or give feedback or say a few things. We're kind of putting Jordan on the spot. Matt?
The only one thing that I think you might have been able to do better was, like, I liked how you presented it and all. But the one thing you had was a problem with fidgeting, like right there. You would just keep on fidgeting.
You said so unnecessarily 37 times.
Thanks, Liam.
Thanks, Leo. You say so.
I you know, as a ninth grader, as a freshman, you know, to speak for 10 minutes without note cards or anything. Yeah. Despite, you know, there's some you know, things he has to practice on, but overall, the big picture, guys, to speak for 10 minutes without no cards or script in front of him, it's pretty impressive, right?
Can you tell us how long that was?
9:55.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Did you wave your hands?
I give him the minute. Okay, wait, stop. Okay, so what else, guys? Any other comments or questions about?
What character traits do you think you learned through this semester of EP? Like, not physical traits, but like...
Not just skills, but
Okay, character traits. So, I think I learned a lot. I think does perseverance count as one? I think I put
yeah,
that one
that's
there.
a character trait.
Just because, you know, sometimes you gotta like stay up late through certain stuff. You know, kind of working through that no matter how bad you just want to go to sleep, just as an example. And then leadership too, I think I mentioned.
I think you did really good at like explaining your artifacts clearly, and so like it was easy to understand, and it was very conversational. So good job.
I don't know if I want to call on you again, but I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I will.
It's not as annoying as the last one. I think your skills may have been a bit too much of an afterthought instead of a focus. It's kind of good that, you know, it was all trying to get us to focus on the skills, and then you sort of told the story, and then kind of halfway mentioned how the skills were tied in instead of like mentioning the skills and then telling them the story tied in. There's just maybe the wrong ratio between, you know, you have a lot of story and little skills instead of a lot of skills and little story.
You're saying you emphasize more on the story than the skills.
Even the skills is first.
I like that.
But Leo's also saying that it didn't really matter. Is that what you're saying, Leo?
It didn't. It's just wasn't decided. But it was fine. It's just not instructed. But I didn't think it was bad or didn't cause a problem. It was the instruction.
Oh my gosh, I expect his to be like perfect.
Yeah, it better be.
Awesome how you
Shh.
how you memorize the script, and I really like how you're very clear and you spoke really fluently and you had great eye contact.
Thank you, Cammy. Anything else, guys?
No.
Okay, so I'll ask a question. What and you may have the same answer as Cameron's question, but what do you think you learned this first semester that'll be important for you to focus on in the second semester?
Okay, so I think since we're not completely done with our construction, right?
Mhm.
We still have some more of that to go. So I still haven't learned, you know, everything about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping to continue to learn more about, you know, how to use tools properly and safely and stuff like that. So I think that's one thing, along with just kind of being more creative, I guess. And like in my infographics, like some of them were more kind of like just a normal presentation. But I think something I can work on is maybe just kind of like spicing them up, if you will, and just make it interesting.
Okay.
Add the season.
All right. Very good.